You step into the river first. Not ceremoniously, not as a pilgrim. You step because the bank gives way beneath your heel and the mud accepts you without comment. It is cool and slick, a relief after the sun's patient punishment. The Nile presses around your ankles with the quiet confidence of something that knows it will outlast you. Reeds whisper at your calves. Insects stitch the air together with sound. Dusk lowers itself slowly, like it has nowhere else to be. This is not a ruin yet. This is a living place, breathing, fed, convinced of its own permanence. The river smells of wet earth and rot and promise all at once. Somewhere far away, a voice rises in prayer, flattened by distance, absorbed by water and sky. You don't understand the words, but the tone is familiar. Gratitude mixed with fear, fear pretending to be certainty. Stone temples loom beyond the palms, their walls still warm, their shadows stretching as if they expect tomorrow. The flood will come, it always does. Order will be restored, it always is. The gods have spoken clearly here for generations, and no one has told them to stop yet. Still, if you stand very still, you can feel it, a thinness beneath the calm, like a fabric rubbed too many times at the same seam. Something is beginning to wear through, but it hasn't torn yet. Not tonight. Tonight the river remembers everything and says nothing. You walk away from the water, because that is what people do when they believe the river will still be there tomorrow. The ground dries and cracks underfoot. Your soles collect dust and grit, the small, sharp souvenirs of a place that does not care about comfort. Homes cluster close, low walls of mud brick that smell faintly of straw and smoke. Children move past you with the unbothered speed of those who have never known another century. Someone laughs, a short bark of sound, and then coughs until it turns into something less funny. The air cools, but not kindly. It simply withdraws the sun and leaves the heat behind, trapped in stone and skin. You brush past a man carrying a basket of fish, already beginning to soften, their silver eyes dull, resigned. He smells like the river's other promise, that everything fed by it will eventually return. You are aware of your body in a way that never quite leaves you here. The stickiness of sweat, the ache in your lower back, the constant low hunger that is not urgent enough to kill you, but persistent enough to make sure you never forget it. This world runs on that kind of hunger. It keeps people moving, building, praying. It keeps them obedient. Somewhere above you, the gods watch, carved into stone with perfect faces that never sweat, never itch, never wake at night wondering if the river will behave. You feel very small beneath them, and oddly comforted by how little they seem to care. Morning arrives without apology. Light spills over the horizon and immediately begins its work, warming walls, waking flies, reminding you that rest was temporary and conditional. You rise because everyone else does. The smell of bread cooking drifts through the settlement, thin and teasing. You join the line without thinking. The bread is coarse, gritty between your teeth, but it fills the hollow just enough to keep your hands steady. Fields stretch beyond the homes, dark with fertile mud, still damp from the last flood. You step into them and feel the ground pull at your calves, eager to claim you if you stand too long in one place. Work here is repetitive in a way that becomes meditative if you surrender to it. Bend, press, plant, straighten, wipe sweat, repeat. The sun climbs and presses its thumb into the back of your neck. Somewhere nearby, someone sings to keep time, the melody simple, looping back on itself like the river. Humor exists here, but it is dry and brief. A joke about a lazy ox, a muttered complaint about a tax collector who eats too well. Laughter flickers and dies quickly, conserved like grain. Above you, the temple walls glow pale in the heat, hieroglyphs crisp and confident, promising order, balance, eternity. You believe them because believing makes the work lighter, because not believing would make it unbearable. Still, as the hours stretch and your muscles burn, you notice how the priests never come to the fields.
The gods apparently prefer clean feet. By midday, the heat is no longer content to sit on your skin. It crawls inside you. Your mouth tastes of dust and old bread. Shade is precious and rare, and when you find it, you cling to it like a secret. Conversation drifts lazily, half-formed thoughts spoken aloud, because silence feels heavier than words. Someone mentions a neighbor who hasn't been seen in days. Someone else shrugs. Illness is common here, unremarkable as flies. Bodies are resilient until they are not, and then they are quickly replaced. You think about this more than you want to. The sun makes philosophers of everyone. In the distance, a barge moves along the river, heavy with stone, pulled by men whose backs have learned the shape of ropes. They look small against the water, and the water looks patient. Everything here is patient. The work resumes because it must. Your hands blister and then harden. Pain settles into you like furniture. You rearrange yourself around it. When evening finally comes, it does not feel like a reward so much as a pause in a long argument between your body and the day. Smoke rises from cook fires. The smell of lentils and onions fill the air, comforting and faintly sad. You eat slowly, aware that this taste will repeat itself tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, until one day it won't. The gods still listen, the land still answers. For now, at night, the settlement contracts inward. Doors close, fires dim. The sky opens up above you, wide and indifferent, scattered with stars that have seen all of this before. You lie on a mat that scratches your skin and listen to the sounds of other bodies settling, coughing, shifting, murmuring half-prayers into the dark. Sleep comes unevenly. Dreams are crowded with water and stone and endless walking. You wake once to the sound of shouting, distant but sharp, and then to silence again. No one investigates. Morning will deal with it. Morning always does. When you finally drift back under, you feel the weight of time pressing gently but firmly against your chest, like a hand reminding you to stay where you are. This place does not let go easily. It feeds you just enough. It works you just hard enough. It convinces you, slowly and thoroughly, that this is how the world has always been and always will be. The thought is comforting, until it isn't. Days blur. Festivals interrupt the routine like bright stitches in dull cloth. Music swells. Beer flows thicker. Bodies move closer together, sweatier, louder. For a moment, the hierarchy softens. Even the priests smile, though they do not dance. Masks and paint transform familiar faces into something playful and strange. You laugh more than usual, surprised by the sound of it. The gods are honored with offerings piled high, food that could have fed many redirected towards stone mouths that never chew. You feel a flicker of something sharp and resentful, and then you swallow it. This is not the time for that. Joy here is borrowed and must be returned quickly. When the festival ends, the ground looks trampled and tired, like it regrets the indulgence. People wake up with sore heads and heavier hearts. Work resumes. The river does not care that you celebrated. It keeps moving, unhurried, as if mocking your brief attempt at excess. Somewhere, a rumor spreads about a bad flood upriver. Someone else counters it with a story about a generous harvest last season. Stories are traded like charms, meant to ward off anxiety. You collect them, even the ones you don't believe, especially the ones you don't believe. As seasons turn, you become aware of small changes that no one names out loud. The flood arrives a little late. The water recedes a little too quickly. Fields at the edges dry and crack. Priests add extra rituals, more incense, more chants. The gods, it seems, require reminders now. Taxes feel heavier. Whips appear more often, cracking the air with theatrical anger. Someone disappears after complaining too loudly. Life continues because it has no alternative. You feel the strain in conversations that stop abruptly when an official passes, in the way laughter has become quieter, more private. The temples are expanded, their walls thickened, their carvings more elaborate, as if stone itself can reinforce belief. You run your fingers over fresh hieroglyphs and feel the grooves sharp and unfinished. Eternity takes maintenance. At night, you lie awake listening to the river and wonder for the first time what happens if it stops answering. The thought feels dangerous, like speaking a god's name incorrectly. You tuck it away and try to sleep. Years pass like this, unnoticed until you realize your body has changed shape around the labor. Your hands are thick, your back permanently bent just slightly forward, as if in half bow to the world. Children you once stepped around now work beside you, their small hands already blistered. The old man who sang in the fields is gone. No one remembers exactly when he stopped showing up. New officials arrive, speaking with the same authority, but different accents. Power shifts quietly, like furniture moved in the dark. The gods remain carved and silent. You begin to understand that what feels eternal is often just very good at hiding its cracks.